Hello everyone and welcome back to the Red Path. I am Jamie and over here is Brian, and we are going to talk about his recent gauntlet that he ran at the GW Open down in Dallas. Brian, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing good, Jamie. I'm still a little exhausted from the open. I know it's been like 4 days, 3 days
Yeah.
since I kind of finished up over there, and I could say I'm exhausted. That is, again, other than WCW, the most amount of Warhammer you can play in the shortest period of time, and that was quite the marathon of a run for me. But I'm doing good. I'm really happy with my results. I think this is actually the best I've ever done personally at a event. More so than like a 5-0 win. I think doing third at a super major for me was definitely not something I had on my horizons for myself as a goal, but I did pretty well, and I'm really excited to be using the Codex, and I'm
Right.
happy with where the Codex got me in its current state.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, we're definitely going to be breaking down those games here in a minute. But first of all, just give us a broad overview of the GW Open at Dallas. Like, what is the vibe? What was the venue like? How many
Sure.
players were there? Just give us the overview.
So the GW Open had it was about 300 players registered for it. I think obviously less than that actually showed up. I think it ended up settling around like 270, 265, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
It was, and the format of this is going to look a little weird because if you guys check out BCP, you'll see that there are people with some losses ranked lower than people with, or sorry, people with a lot of wins ranked lower than people with losses. That's because they did a bracketed system at this open, where you played 4 rounds. They did a cut to top 32, which could have some X and ones in it if you lost late enough to better performing opponents. Then you had a good chance of making top 32, which, spoiler alert, actually happened to me. And then they would break you out into brackets. You'd have the top cut, which basically starts a whole new tournament again. We just start another, basically 5-round tournament, with a shadow round involved. Also, because you'll see that there's 8 games, but I actually played 9. So there was a shadow round squeezed in there. You then play at that point, and it's whoever's undefeated towards the end of the top bracket wins the event. Um, so yeah, if you'll go in there, you'll see that I actually finished 7-2, 6-2. But you'll see that I'm ranked third place, and there's some people that are actually undefeated underneath me. It's because they were beaten in the shadow round and knocked out of contention for the top bracket.
Right.
So that's why it looks a little weird in BCP. But
Now,
the GW Open runs through 9 missions, all on GW layouts, of course, because it's GW's Open. We did it at the Arlington Esports Center. It was actually on like, if you like look at League of Legends or any of like those other big gaming, like the players playing on stream were up on a table that had like that giant like flashing light, like
oh god.
big screen behind them showing all their plays. The
Yeah.
commentators were going. They also were, because I mean they just had tons of screens of display stuff. They had people painting Horse Heresy models for that new Saturnine release, which is kind of sick, but I mean
Hmm.
that box was leaked like a month ago
Yeah.
in classic fashion. Um, and then the rest of the vibe of the event was really cool. I mean, the venue was clean, food was great. GW, this I actually like going to GW Opens. They're usually very organized, very punctual, very well run. They can be a little chaotic at first, but once they get in the groove of it, they have really top like notch TOs, keeping the thing moving. And surprisingly, for a super major, I can say definitively there was no drama,
Wow.
which is rare. Which is rare. Usually there's somebody getting yelled at
Yeah, and
somewhere.
it's normally within a few tables of you, so you can give us the gossip. Like,
I know. Usually I'm just posted up with some popcorn, munching
yeah.
away. But I can say that all of my opponents were lovely. I didn't have a single bad interaction. And I can say from my experience and talking with all the other top players and all the other people that I interacted in the room, the event was very smooth.
Wow.
No drama, which is
That is
rare,
what.
like I said.
Yeah, that's what we want to hear.
Just a lot of Death Guard running around right now, which
Well, speaking of that, because I know Don Hooson went as well, and
mhm.
there were several other members of the Discord. Did you get to meet anyone? Like, hang out? Who was you hanging out with? Like, what?
Yeah, we had quite a few people there. No, Drake, Snake Whips. We had Dawn was there. I had quite a few other people come up to me. I named a face. I obviously can't put your name to your face in the Discord because
Right,
you weren't introducing yourself as Discord names to me.
right.
But it was super awesome to meet a bunch of you guys there. Tons of cool little shout outs and getting to meet some of y'all. So that was awesome. Dawn did also do very well.
Yeah,
And I have a very low win rate into Dawn. Call it TTS luck.
yeah.
And his version of Death Guard is very frightening. And it's pretty much the same version, Jamie, that you've been playing against too. And the whole
Right.
time I was crossing my fingers because he was following me all the way up to pretty much the finals, and I was like, nothing but Dawn, please, anything but Dawn.
Yeah.
And thankfully that didn't happen. So yeah. Thanks for everyone for coming to say hi.
All right. Well, okay. So let's segue that into the list that you ran, the Mean Red Machine, and what was it? What is it? What are the nuts and bolts? What are the moving parts here, Brian?
Yeah, so in our faction or our detachment breakdown videos, I was tasked with doing Berserker Warband, and I actually ran the exact same list that I ran or that I spoke about in that video. So if you guys want like a more in-depth nuts and bolts, why am I making the decisions I'm making? How am I actually playing the small moving parts? Go check out that video. I'm still going to walk through it right now and just like a little bit of the reasoning. But I mean, I have a whole breakdown that's probably going to be probably half the length of this video, it dedicated only to that list and its breakdown. But starting off, we have the footprints with helm, -1 damage. Lone Op is really big for world leaders now. I would be very hard pressed to build a single world leader list now for any detachment without a D in Prince. Being able to have Lone Op on an objective on a very durable body is awesome. Having a CP economy is something that we're not used to having.
Right, right.
So being able to just like be, yeah, I'll Overwatch over there. Yeah, I'll interrupt her. Yeah, I'll just chuck a free grenade here and there. I got my full 5 CP out of that Demon Prince almost every single game.
Right.
I held him close to my heart. He never died. That was great. I liked having CP discounts, and he was also really annoying to kill, which helped. We had 2 Slaughterbounds, one with Favorite of Khorne and one with Berserker Glaive. Berserker Glaive is a classic. 11 damage, 3 attacks is a hell of a drug.
Mm-hmm.
Don't need to talk much more about that. I would usually ingress him with a 3-man Exalted 8-pound brick, just to go flip a Rogaldorn or something like that was his job. Then we had Favorite of Khorne. It's still Blessing Fixer, Master General. I'd never want to whiff on Blessing rolls, getting the cursed 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just having to stare at it in shame. That happened several times throughout the event, and luckily this dude fixed it.
Okay.
And then finally, Khorne and the boys. I don't really need to talk about Khorne and the boys. They're
Yeah.
kind of disgusting. So after that, we got 1 squad of 10 Berserkers to go with Khorne. 1 squad of 10 Jackals. Can't leave one without them. Just dirt cheap action monkeys. 1 squad of Goremongers. 1 Rhino. 3x3 Apon. 1x3 Exalted Apon. And then finally, no, sorry, not finally, 2 Spawn. Can't leave one without them either.
Yeah.
Those things are disgusting. And then 2 Forge Fiends, which you're seeing a lot in a lot of World Leader lists. I really don't think 3 is the right answer for Berserker Warband. I really like 2. I think just a little bit of shooting pressure to be able to support your melee is kind of what you want from them. But yeah, that's the list.
Okay.
It worked really well. I don't know if I'd change much about it, but like I said, if you guys want more of my insights, check out that video.
Okay. Well, it sounds good, but the test is, well, I guess we already know how far you got. But let's see how it performed in the individual matchups and see like your thoughts. We won't go into too much depth here. We want to know obviously who you were playing against, what the archetype of the army they were playing, how you felt it dealt with the mission, scoring secondaries, because this is one of the real first significant tests we've had since the Codex come out to see across a decent amount of games how our army is going to play at the top tables against good veteran opponents and things like that. So how did your first round start? Was the first game on a Friday or on a Saturday?
First game was Friday. Yep.
Friday,
First
9
game was
a.m.
Friday.
I'm guessing, maybe 10
Yep.
a.m. All right,
I
bright
think
and
they
early.
started a little late at 9:30 just because there was some late
There's
check-ins, but
always,
that's
but
okay.
yeah. All right, okay. you refresh BCP. They finally tell you the pairings are up. You try and get it working. Whose name pops up? What faction? What are we looking
So
at?
usually when you my worst game typically that I play is usually game one
Okay.
and
Yeah.
game four. Game one and game four are usually my worst
Okay.
because that is conveniently immediately after I wake up.
Right.
And especially game one, like my brain juices aren't moving just yet. And usually I'm just looking for a nice, relaxing, like I just want to vibe and have a good time, not
Yeah.
really have to like sweat super hard. And I look down, I look at BCP, and I see that I am paired into Stefan. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. I'll butcher it, my dude, but Stefan Paz P, uh, WTC coach for Team Austria, right out the gate.
Right. Coach or
Uh,
captain?
Coach.
Coach. Okay. All right.
Sorry, he might be captain, but I'm pretty sure he said coach.
Okay.
Regardless, a
Yeah.
fantastic. That is a boss fight right out the gate.
Yep.
And I can say that he was the primary tiebreaker in this event was opponent game win percentage, meaning
Okay.
how well your opponents do throughout the event. And let me say, Stefan was pulling for me the entire time after this. So mission one, which if people aren't familiar with GW Terrain Layout 3, is a really weird one. It's got like lanes like this, where you have, and we did sweeping engagement, which is basically like Dawn of War deployment zones, with lanes like this. So there's 3 shooting lanes basically going up the entire middle of the map. There's nowhere to stage, and I'm playing into Lions Custodes with a Caladius tank, which is basically like once per turn, it gets to pick what it wants and shoot at it.
Yeah.
Now this is a matchup that I think if we were playing Index World Leaders, we would kind of panic a little bit. Being able to get through Wardens is kind of hard for Index World Leaders. We're a monophase army, right? Unless you're Jamie playing 6 Predators. We're not going to have much to pop for. Feel no pains out of the way early, but thankfully, with the onset of the Codex, we got access to the Forge Fiend, which gives us damage in 2 phases. We get the shooting phase and your opponent's movement phase. They overwatch really well, especially your opponent's not expecting to have to call the 4-up Feel no pain with the Wardens in their own turn, in their own movement phase. So being able to threaten that. So this is a layout where I was scared of the tank, but he was more scared of my Forge Fiends. And multiple times, like the Caladius actually shot at a Forge Fiend and didn't kill it. And I was able to lock down all of the objectives on the table with the Forge Fiends and really make it so that if he was going to come out and shoot at, like I knew the Caladius was going to come out and shoot at something.
Yeah.
And my list is MSU. So if it comes out and shoots at a squad of
It
8 pounds,
dies.
like the 8 pounds are probably dead. There's a chance that the 8 pound could live, like a scammy chance.
Yeah.
So because of that, I actually attached both of the slaughter bounds to 8 pound. So I was like,
Yep.
if I scam you, I get a guy back, right? Like,
Oh
it's
yeah.
only
Okay. Yeah.
it's only 4 big shots. You just got to get you
That's
have to
true,
get a little
yeah.
unlucky, and you get a little lucky.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I also wanted to be able to muscle my way through the Custody squads with as few
Yeah.
interrupts as possible.
Yeah.
But the game was an absolute slugfest. Anybody that looks at the score is going to see that it was a very low scoring game.
I did notice that when you posted it, I was like, man, what the hell happened here?
53 to 51 was the
Yeah.
score. And that was because every time I touched an objective, he would come out and smack me. And every time he touched an objective, I would come out and smack him. It was like Rocky, honestly. Like it was just haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. We weren't giving each other an inch. Khorne failed to stand up, like the little coward he is. There's a specific turn where I handed him, I think, 20 damage, 3 saves, and he saved 18 or 19 of them
Oh god.
in a row. And that was without Feel No Pains up.
Oh.
The first play of the game was really funny. Goremongers made a charge across the table, made contact with Wardens, and I was like, I had sustained hit Dev Wounds up. That's 32 attacks, and I was like, you gonna pop a Feel No Pain, bud? And he did, because he was scared of the Dev Wounds.
Yeah. Right.
Goremongers will take down like
Yeah.
2.5 Wardens, and they still got 1, which I was like, good job, boys, got rid of the 4-up Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
But the game like just went back and forth, and it came down to secondary draws. And towards the end of the game, and like I said, he was getting a little lucky. Khorne didn't stand back up. My Berzerker squad kind of whiffed into a Warden activation. He made a lot of saves. He then charges a Forge Chain with a Blade Champ, fails to kill it while the thing's at 1 wound. This is the one that survived the Caladius attack.
Right.
He then falls back from the Forge Fiend. The Caladius obviously now just bunks the 1 wound
Yeah.
Forge Fiend, which then, this was after I'd already passed turn. I held on to Assassinate as a card. The Forge Fiend blows up and kills the Blade Champ that fell back, scoring me my Assassinate, And as you notice from my score, it's 53 to 51.
Oh my god.
So, I can fully credit that that explosion ended up pointing me in the direction of a win of a game. And just to say what was left on the table after we were done with the game, it was just basically my foot demon prince at like 2 wounds and the Caladius tank. Those were the only models left on the table. Like we just eviscerated each other.
Did he have a reason to shoot the Forge Fiend?
I mean, yes, because the Forge Fiend was like, we were just trying to take each other's models off the table so we couldn't out OC each other.
Okay,
And
alright.
it was a battle of OC on the middle objective because it was
Alright.
supply drop too. So we all
Right.
converged towards the middle of the table. He had bottom of turn scoring, which he
Right.
even got the 15 points. But that was
Man.
a very, very hard fought win, and that was not what I was expecting game one.
Yeah, that's a god. Like you said, that was a boss fight straight away. Like you've just put the game in to load, and you're just immediately like, oh, I guess I'm playing Elden Ring. Well,
Now, yeah, and I think the Lions matchups actually slightly world leader favored. I think I just got custodied a little bit, and that
it
made
it
that made
is
the
your
game.
curse.
Yeah, it is my curse. The
Yeah.
banana people will always haunt me. Uh, but that was game one, right out the
Okay.
gate.
All right. So, all right, you struggled through. You got the narrow win. Sure, it was rough, but you were blooded. You were beaten, but you weren't broken. So,
No,
okay.
not at all.
Surely
Slightly
that
tilted.
means yeah. So, yeah, it happens. But that means surely game two, you're going to get a nice, easy. It's like Billy's first tournament. He's got his
Well,
freshly painted. Ultramarines and
no, I got
uh,
probably our worst matchup in the game.
that
That was
never
that was game
happens.
two. Never
Okay.
happens. Which I would say, in my professional opinion, is I mean, we are strength 10 the army right now. If you're playing Berserker Warband,
Yeah.
8 bound are strength 10. Forge Fiends are strength 10. The Demon Prince is strength 10 on the charge. So our worst enemy is anything that is spam T11, and that is Imperial Guard with nothing but Dorns.
Oh,
And I pair into 4 Dorns plus
oh no.
only tanks. Fortunately, we got blessed with the holy search and destroy layout
Okay.
on layout 3.
Okay.
My opponent, his name is, he'd like to go by Garcia. Um, he presented all of these tanks to me, and I presented him with an even better answer of I'm not leaving my deployment zone. I just didn't. I staged up, scored my points, drew really good secondaries because I was definitely going to redraw anything I got. If I wasn't
Right.
able to score it, I'm redrawing. I don't care about any of my strats. I don't care how this game goes. I just have to beat him on points.
Right.
And I just kept getting good secondaries after good secondaries, and I just refused to come out of cover. And honestly, I would like to talk more about this game, but there really wasn't much to talk about. Eventually got to the point where I just got a primary lead because on Search and Destroy, world leaders were very good at getting to our opponent's
Mm-hmm.
expansion objectives. A tank would go touch it, I'd go out OC it, and then we'd move on. Right?
Yep.
Pass turn, I'd be down a unit, I would repeat, do it again and again until eventually I have a big push turn on turn 4 where I shove all of my assets towards him. He's going to kill most of them like he did, but at that point, the score was just gone.
Okay.
Should be how you play against an unkillable matchup is don't try to kill it. You'll just
Yeah.
table yourself. So just try to slow down and remember the game's about scoring points.
Yep. All right. Sometimes you win with tactics. Sometimes you win with strategy. So,
Unheard of for a world leader. Final score 100 to 43.
ooh, nice. Yeah, that's definitely how you do it then. Okay.
I needed that.
So, all right. So you probably have your break or your lunch or whatever at this point, and it's getting ready for game three. First day is only 3 games, right? No.
Correct.
Yep. So, you just got to get through one more. This is where you're going to get your nice easy game where you can just autopilot through, right?
Yeah, it totally wasn't going to be stressful at
No,
all in any means.
no.
This one started with me going up to a table, um, and having GW staff sitting there waiting for me. And they tell me that the stream apparently had requested world leaders, and I got dragged up onto the esports stage, a solid 15 feet above everyone else, looking down on the rest of the peasants of the room, and I got to play on the esports stage stream. So this is on the GW stream, which I'll link in the video. Very cool game. Got paired into a very nice Eric Tat, um, Gene Stealer Colts Ascension
Hmm.
host, which is about as world leader heaven as you can get. Not
Yeah,
necessarily from a matchup perspective, but his list was 5 20-man squads of the guardsman equivalent,
yeah.
and then probably another 50 or 60 more Gene Stealer bodies on top of that. So,
That sounds like GSC. So
uh,
you did you happen to have the tools needed to rid the world of that plague?
oh, absolutely.
You did you?
The announcers came up to me and they said, "Is there a way for us to have you visually track your blessings for the entire game?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it. It's going to be sustained hits, pile and consolidate six the entire game, and you can just tell the chat if they ever asking what I'm doing, it is that the entire game. In all five battle rounds,
Yep.
it was that the entire game. And horde armies." Previously before, if they go first, they move block you. You're like, oh, dang, maybe Angron can get some weird flyover play, right?
Yeah.
That was all you pretty much had to rely on. Pile and consolidate six. It's a lot harder.
Changes. Yeah.
And it helped that the mission was ritual, so all of the objectives had to be in the middle of the table. So I screened out my back. I was using, actually, I had two Forge Fiends too. I did not use them to shoot actually really at all that game. I think
Wow.
one Forge Fiend activated once. Both were alive by the end of the game. Both
Yeah.
could have shot every single turn of the game. I never did. Why? Because if I killed his models, I couldn't ping pong off of them and pile and consolidate six. That's why. I
Fair
actually
enough.
would. I was doing more damage by not using them, which is kind of weird. And
Yeah.
it's like
No, it makes sense.
I hate,
Weirdly, it makes sense.
but that's what you have to do against Gene Stealer Cult. It's always an
Yeah.
army where you have to like not play in the spirit of the game
Yeah.
to not give them what they want. So I was at one point even using a Forge Fiend to screen out my backfield, and it was like an action monkey. And I was like, hey, if I stick this on an objective, it's too annoying for you to kill. And he was like, yeah, that seems right. And I was like, okay, well, yes, they're just objective holders now. And then the rest of the army just went forward. And if you watch that stream, you'll see me really weaponize pile and consolidate six to just ping pong. Like I think on turn two, I tabled his entire army.
Ooh.
Uh, and then, well, I mean, it was all the other half of it
Oh
was a
yeah.
tape
Right.
strike.
Right. Yeah.
It came down, it turned into a slugfest, but I was standing on the circles. He wasn't. Final score was 100 to 34. Um, like I said, that's on stream if you guys want to go get a peek at it. I'm not going to talk about it too much. But I really, really, really leaned into pile and consolidate six for that game. Like I was, the Khorne squad picked up 4 units by itself, which allowed an 8 bound squad to then pile into like a Ridge Runner and then so on and so forth. Demon Prince is also helping out, and me shooting my guns would have made none of that possible. So a little bit of
Right.
restraint and just thinking through your plays,
I
important.
will say, I've only played GSC 2 or 3 times this edition. They're not a common army around me. And, every time I would play into them, I know I asked you and Dara for advice and things like that, but that you hear the horror stories about, and GSC are brutal. Like, if they get to do what they want to do to you,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a bad time. But, like you kind of opened up that summary of round three there, there's just something about an ocean of mostly T3 bodies, or I think Gene Stealer's a T4 now or something. Oh, there's still
Three.
T3? Okay.
It's three. It's a mixture, but mostly
Yeah,
three.
it's generally T3, mostly T-shirt saves with some involves sprinkled in on characters or Gene Stealers or whatever. But even if you lose that game, or are losing that game, just being able to send, and like back in the day, 5 Berzerkers, but now you're 10 Berzerkers in, and you just watch them. Oh, okay, and they just pick up 20 models.
At a time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's just such a warm
it hits
feeling
different.
inside.
It
It
hits
does,
different.
and it's like God used to feel like that, but now God, like they don't really. Yeah, they're more tank heavy typically now, or they don't run the big blobs that they used to. But it doesn't matter. So I always do enjoy that about GSC. So that's a good game to end your first day on. You're 3-0. You got a very close win and then 2 pretty convincing wins. That's at the caliber you're playing. You're feeling good, right?
Yep, and I will say the last game was stressful. So having to sit there and screen out 100 Gene Stealers from showing up in your walls. And I said there were rats in my walls. I was just trying to
Yeah,
keep them out. That was rough, but yeah, well, the game did take a while, which was nice.
yeah,
Because my two buddies that came with me, Folger Piles and Conan Jennings, actually stayed with me, and you know them very well, Jamie. They
yeah,
stayed with me and they hung out with me the whole time. They were just sitting there in chairs, pulled up, watching me pick up fistful of G and Stealer Colts off the table. But after that, it was time to hit the hay and
yeah.
get ready for day two.
A big day too as well. I'm guessing. I mean, you're 3-0, and how were Folger and I mean I know, but for the audience, how were Folger and Conan doing at the end of day one as well?
If you know nothing about this event, they were both 3-0 up to this point.
Yeah,
which one of them's about to be 4-0, and one of the three of us is about to be 3-1.
Why would you say that, Brian? What was your first pairing on day two?
Folger Piles
Oh,
on a list that he said he teched for World Eaters and Death Guard.
that does sound about right, to be honest. No Folger, but yeah.
So we go into Yanari, which data slate is not far away, and it cannot come quick enough for this army. Let's just say it's the least fun gameplay experience you can have. I don't know if you've had the pleasure of playing against Yanari yet, Jamie.
Not this particular version of it, but
It feels like a very even matchup for World Eaters.
okay.
It's going to be a very technical matchup, but Codex World Eaters, they use very punishing to mistakes. You can't make mistakes.
Right.
And Yanari starts the game by dumping a bucket of rakes on the table for you to step on and make mistakes. Like that,
Right.
it has his list had 6 reactive moves in it.
Ugh.
You
Okay.
can't, if you shoot a unit, it can react to move. If you kill a unit, another unit anywhere on the table can move. Also, if you kill a unit, the Incarn can teleport to it.
Right.
If you fall back from a unit, it can reactive move. The Rangers have reactive moves. Also, if you damage anything of theirs, they can pick it at the start of the fight phase. It gets fights first, so whatever you do, don't actually half kill something. So don't kill anything. You can't kill anything. Whatever you do, don't shoot any of them. And whatever you do, don't halfway kill one of them. None of these things you can do. Also, they sticky on death, so yeah, really don't like. The only way that you can actually beat this army is to just put your head down, turn into a silverback gorilla, say, I don't care about your nerd tactics, and just tackle them. That is the best way to deal with it, honestly. But that doesn't work if your mission is Fog of War and you miss all of your charges turn one, and you can't reroll any of them. And I'm talking sub 5-inch charges here. Um, I start the game off by failing 2 of my 3 charges, which were just spawning goremongers going out to kill trash. I didn't even get to stand on the objectives, so I give him a free 15 points on primary going into turn 2. And the one charge I make kills a piece of trash, which then turns into an incarn in my deployment zone. So that was the game. I had to respond to the incarn by bringing the Slaughterbound down with the Exalted 8-bound, which obliterated the incarn. But at this point, I had no control of the middle of the table. All of my trash pieces are dead. He set up all of his scoring. His scoring's really high. My ingress piece is in my deployment zone. He basically hemmed me in my deployment zone, and the game went downhill from there. He just moved all of his fights first bricks into the middle of the table, standing on the objectives. Picked me apart a little bit here and there. I lost a Forge Fiend here, some spawn there, and then I just very quickly ran out of just space and really just whiffing those early charges to establish a tempo hurt me. Which, granted, it is Folger Biles, arguably the best player in the country, or one of, still number 1 on stat check, and he delivered me a crushing 100 to 59 loss. Thankfully, my run isn't dead.
It is
And
not.
if I was going to lose, I would rather it be to one of the homies that I was traveling with. But because it was Folger that beat me, who up to this point has 100, 100, 100, 100 for his scores, my tiebreakers were pretty solid. And Stefan was carrying me down there in the trenches. Love you, Stefan. So I actually made the top 32 cut. So
Okay. All right.
no panic. Tournament resets, and I'm
Okay.
right back up into the top bracket.
All right. So that happens for game 2 of day 2. Is when.
Yes.
Oh, so game 5 basically.
Game 5, but
Yeah.
basically playing a whole brand new tournament where I'm
Okay.
gonna have to do 5 rounds of Warhammer.
Okay. All right. So.
Oh, so very stressful. And I was like, then we go to lunch, and I was like watching my phone the whole time, watching my placing go up and down and up and down and up and
Yeah.
down. And it starts getting closer to like 32, then it goes right back up because one of my
Right.
one of my previous
Former
opponent's games would get
opponents.
reponed.
Yeah.
So it'd go back up, and then it would drop, and then it would go back up, and it was just like, oh, that was a very stressful lunch. And Conan
Right.
and Folger both are 4-0, so they're both just like, relax, Brian, you'll get
Yeah.
it. And I was like, I can't relax.
Yeah. Sounds about right. So. Once it resets, you get your new pairings. You know you're ready. What are you going to start the second part of your tournament with?
Yeah, so now I'm just like, okay, let's focus down. Like, we got a little fortunate with how the pairing system works, but that's how the GW's events are set up. We've made top cut. Let's just lock this down. Just got to win 5 games in a row and I win the open, right? That's all I got to do.
That's it.
And
Easy.
my games don't get any harder, right?
No.
Round 5, I pair into the dreaded new Death Guard on
Oh,
Virtual
fuck.
Victorum. This is Kit Smith Hannah, who is
Okay.
a Team USA member.
Yeah.
So I go from now I played 3 WTC players so far in my first 5 rounds of a super major. So I'm just on the brand new boogeyman
Yeah.
of the event, which personally I don't think Death Guard are broken. I think that they are too cheap, which leads to them being broken. Like their stuff does a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
the drones just shouldn't be 100 points. That's just what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
The drones aren't
They're able to bring
egregious and
too much, and it just
yeah.
stacks up and it builds up. Yeah. From
Yeah,
what I've read. Yeah.
yeah, a drone's profile isn't unreasonable until you see its points cost and you're like, oh, this is incredibly unreasonable.
Right.
So I'm playing against Vectorum, which this is a Plague Marine spam list where it had 2 Rhinos with a 10-man Plague Marine brick and then 4 5-man Plague Marine bricks.
Okay.
Um, 3 drones, their version of our Demon Prince, which is just the same thing but T12 with a 5-up field of pain. It's just a baby Mortarion
Yeah.
that has lone op. And then a couple Deshra Terminator bricks. This game, right out the gate, you realize with Death Guard, and the reason why I built my list the way it is because I wanted to actually be able to respond to Death Guard very well. And I actually do think my list is favored into, at this point, I would say comfortably favored into the Vectorum build of Death Guard.
Okay.
Hammer, awful, terrible.
Right.
That's just a horrible matchup. Vectorum's a bit more manageable. Because at the end of the day, Death Guard is still Marines. They still die really quickly. Like I said, we are strength 10 in the army. All of the drones are T9. They're still just Marines. We throw up sustained hits, dev wounds, and we will tear straight through their Terminators, straight
Right.
through their Plague Marines. And Spawn are strength 7. Terminators T7. So dev wounds, extra AP. Spawn will actually rip through Death Shroud Terminators.
Right.
Um, so focus on your mobility. Really try to isolate one side of the table it, and then run away for the rest of the game and score points, because at the end of the day, Death Guard's still slow. And because my list is MSU style, these Deshra Terminator bricks with the Lord of Contagion, they're expensive. They're like 250, 260 points.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, come down. Kill my 3 8-pound that are 150 points. I'm just going to respond by carning you in the head.
Yeah.
Right? Or I'm going to respond by slaughter bounding you with an ingress. Or a Forge Fiend's going to light you up, then a Spawn's going to come finish you off, right?
Yeah.
You want to be making it so that they're trading down the entire time as much as possible. So when you have that big push, you're kind of isolating them and forcing them to be on one side of the table. Now, he allows me to turn 1 to get a advance and charge off with Khorne, get all the way up to the Plague Marine Rhino, wrap it so he can't get out of his car. And I was like, oh no, Khorne, he's gonna accidentally kill this Rhino. No, he actually managed to pile into a drone and kill a drone in the same activation that I wrapped this car. Khorne by himself just took the drone and banged it on the floor. Which Karn's strength 9 now on
Fuck
the charge.
yeah.
And I was just like, okay, lethal sustained, let's go, baby, re-rolling. And Khorne just decimated that. We left the Rhino alive at 2 wounds. Best case scenario, the Plague Marines can't get out. I've taken him off that objective, and I've staged up the rest of my army really well. Now, going into the next turn, I throw up Fight on Death, because I'm like, obviously Khorne's going to have a very bad time. One of the reasons why I say Vectorum is like fine for World Eaters is they actually, other than that giant 10-man killy Plague Marine Barrick, they don't have a good enough answer to picking up 10 Berzerkers in one activation in the shooting phase, right? A Plague Drone isn't just going to shoot at it, because you're going to get your 9-inch Blood Surge. Sorry, 8-inch, but 1-inch engagement range.
Yeah, it is effectively, yeah.
So what he has to do is throw 3 Deshra Terminators and a Lord of Contagion down to charge Khorne, which I'm rocking -1 damage threatening it. I'm threatening the Fight on Death. I just want to Fight on Death with Khorne, pick off 2 dudes. Khorne flips back up. Khorne finishes the job. Khorne at this point would have killed a drone, a Rhino, isolated a squad of Deshra Terminators, decimated it, or killed it, and that would have been like a dream come true. Right. There's only one outcome that's better than that, and that is the Deshra Terminators fail their charge, CP reroll, and fail their charge again. Khorne rips apart the Rhino that he was touching. Actually, I'm incorrect. The Rhino falls back, fails the Desperate Escape, blows up. The Plague Marines spill out. The Deshra Terminators fail their charge. He then charges me with another squad of Plague Marines, which roll the minimum on the charge, so they touch the Khorne brick barely, get 2 to 3 Power Fists in, activate the Khorne brick, which then Fans up, touches all of the plague marines
Yeah.
that fell out. Right?
Oh god.
So Khorne just rips that entire flank to pieces, which my game plan was still to isolate all of that stuff on that side of the table. So if it was dead or alive, I don't care. That my plan was just to make
Better
sure
if
that
it's dead, though, Brian. It's
better if it's
much
dead.
better if it's dead.
On the other side of the board, the Slaughterbound and 3 Exalted deep striked onto the table, ingressed,
Okay.
and I just pushed, took all of the drones off the table. So we had no drones.
Nice.
The Plague Marines are getting ripped apart by Khorne. Khorne eventually has a horrible death on that objective. It just takes a bit of time.
Yeah.
But at this point, my shooting's uncontested. Like, the Forge Fiends can just come out. The drones can't oppress me at all. I just push forward down that one flank, like I said. It's Terraform. I get some Terraforms off, and the game's just gone. So you really got to weaponize your mobility there. Get them to spread out, and then shoot to one side or the other. Remember that the Terminators are still slow, and you'll be fine in the long run.
All right, nice. What was the final score?
92 to 54 final score.
Okay, another really strong out in there. Okay, so we're doing well. So we're now 4-1, right? That was the first game of the second part.
Yep, 4-1, but 1-0 in the top bracket.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All
tournament
right.
win is still absolutely on the table.
It's still there. All right. So that's round 1. What do you get in round 2/game 3 of the day?
Very familiar list that we all know. It is Tyranids, Invasion Fleet, Big Bugs.
Oh, okay. How about that? Who was? Do you remember who it was playing it?
Caleb Favor
Okay.
was his name. Very nice dude. He was very excited to be there. That was his first GT ever.
What? Damn.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
He's made the top cut. Hell yeah. Good for him.
He made the top. Not only did he make the top cut, he's undefeated to this point too.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like, he's coming into this round 5-0.
Fuck yeah.
Basically already winning a GT.
Yeah.
And he's now here repping Big Bugs, which is really respectable because I actually think they have a decent pairing into Death Guard.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's rocking he's rocking 2 Norns. He starts the game by picking 2 objectives.
Okay.
That's the one where they make it there. They get a 5-up Fuel No Pain.
Yep.
I play this game and this is another matchup that we kind of you'd think we'd struggle into because they're all T11 plus Big Bugs. The upside for us is Tyranids actually kind of suck into Marine bodies at killing them because they're AP1, AP2. You get yourself into cover. You actually have decent armor saves. The only thing that's pushing you to your invuln is Exocrines, really.
Yeah.
So
Which are just slightly worse Forge Fiends, really.
Really, yeah. So a Forge Fiend activates into a Big Bug, and then 3 8-pound charge it and kill it, right?
Yeah.
And that was just the story of this game. This is why I say, like, the Forge Fiends are there to support your melee. Same thing I was like in the guard matchup earlier, I didn't mention. Forge Fiend would shoot a Russ, 8-pound would charge it, pick up the Russ.
Yeah.
8-pound on math do not pick up a Russ, so they need a little bit of help, which is why I think a little bit of gun support is pretty valuable right now for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say that this was Search and Destroy, so I pretty much got to play the exact same game plan. I just hid back, I let the Forge Fiends do some chip damage, I took away all of his scoring pieces, so the Big Bugs had to come out to play. And I can say comfortably those Norns didn't even make it halfway to those objectives they picked. I move blocked them multiple turns in a row, until eventually I could ingress and pick them off with the Slaughterbound plus 3 X-Bound. And then the Demon Prince went and gave the other one a big fat hug, because Norns suck in melee. They really just don't do damage.
Right.
It's like 8 total attacks hitting on 3s that are like 2 damage and then 4 damage or something. Gets minus 1 damage, get a little lucky on invulns. He's wounding on 4s. It wasn't great for him. And the Demon Prince, even though it was wounding on 5s, eventually won the fight, which is kind of messed up for how cool the Norn Emissary is. It's a very cool model.
I don't pity Tyranids.
Comfortable 86-42 win. It was just a classic World Leader Search and Destroy.
Okay.
I'm just gonna bully you on primary, hide from you, and come out later in the game. It helps that I did go first, so I was able to stage up on him.
Yeah.
But pretty comfortable win there.
Nice, well done. Okay, so you're 6 games deep, or 2 games into the finals, basically. What's the status now? Do you have to play an extra game tonight? Do you come in? You do. Is this the shadow round? It is the shadow round.
Shadow round.
Okay, so tell us about this, Brian. In fact, let's just end the video here and leave everyone on a cliffhanger, right? Okay, all right. What happened?
This is a wild game. Richard, I'm sorry, I don't know your last name off the top of my head because BCP doesn't have the pairing in front of me. If you go You won't. The whole point of a shadow round is you don't see the shadow round. So if you go on BCP, it won't be there.
Yeah.
And the reason why they do a shadow round is because they don't want to make everybody else in the tournament play an extra game, especially this game going till 12:30 in the morning, which I then have to wake up at like 6:30 to come back again tomorrow.
Yeah.
They basically say that we're only going to make a select 8 people be miserable to do this, and that was me and 7 other people. And conveniently, Conan and Folger are still hanging around undefeated. This is where Don got to. Don made it to Shadow Rounds as well. So
Okay.
I really didn't want to pair Folger a second time.
Yeah.
Conan's Gladius list was brutal, which I ended up getting got by that anyways later on. Spoiler alert. And then Don, I just don't want to pair at all.
Yeah.
So I get paired into Richard, who is on Warhost Eldar, which he has just 20 Fire Dragons and 2 Wave Serpents. Now, I would tell you the mission and I would tell you the layout if it mattered at all.
Okay.
The game starts with him going first and blowing up 800 to 900 points of my army.
The fuck?
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Warp spiders raining from the air.
yeah.
Supercharging those wave serpents to shoot those fire dragons straight into my deployment zone. They split fire. I lose. On turn 1, Goremongers both spawn. A Slaughterbound plus 3 8-bound, a Rhino, and a Forge Fiend. All on turn 1.
Oh god.
And I knew he was capable of all of this. I just didn't think he would be crazy enough to do it. And it
Right.
sounds like I'm in a very bad position. The thing is, for him to accomplish this, he put all of his T3 elves into the middle of my army. Everything that was left alive from my army was just mixed with 2,000 points of elves in the middle of it.
Right.
So I put my fists on the table, got white-knuckled, and figured out the most efficient way to kill as many knife ears as possible in one turn. And that's what happened. I just picked up most of the fire dragons. Fuegan went down. All of the banshees, some of the banshees went down. And I just responded the best way I could. He took half of my army in one turn. I took a half plus a little bit more from him.
Okay.
Now the next turn, again, at this point, I'd say the mission doesn't matter. We're just tabling each other on 2.
Yeah.
He responds by taking another 500 points of my army. I'm down to playing a combat patrol-sized army.
Right.
And I respond by doing it back to him. But at this point, he's lost all of his damage. Anything that has the World Eater keyword does damage.
Yeah.
So all he has left is his scoring. Like, my jackals were out here with clubs and bats, like, in the middle of the
Yeah.
table fighting for our lives. Like, it was all hands on deck, get in the middle of the table. Like, I have jackals with dev wounds, sustained hits, beating up fire dragons. Like, aspect warriors going down to literally, like, homeless people with spiked bats. That was what my kitchen sink came right over the deployments, and I was like, we aren't any, no screening out the back, all
Yeah.
hands on deck. And like I said, he just ran out of damage really quickly. He just committed to an early gambit. I think he said he just wanted to finish the game as fast as possible so he could go home and sleep. Cool dude. I won't say that he was throwing the game by any means by doing that. It was just a very high pressure, fast paced game.
That's a Hail Mary. Like, it's.
And he knew if he
Sink or
gave me
swim.
time to set up, it was going to get really bad for him. Like, that is a
Right.
matchup out. Like, unlike Yanari, I don't get punished for playing the game.
Right.
And I can slow down and figure out how to play the game at my own pace. So because he basically was like, I have to go fast and I have to hit you as hard as I can, keep you in a deployment zone and score points. He got very close to achieving that. It was a very solid game. We didn't even score. GW was like basically checkbox: did you win your game? Did you lose your game?
Right.
We just kind of gave up on scoring, and he just put his hand out and conceded on 2 after it was evident he was going to get tabled before me. So we just
Right.
played table hammer. But
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
we
But-
made it out of shadows.
Yeah. Okay. So that curse at least has been lifted. You have broken free of the Shadow Realm. You're allowed to go home and get a few hours sleep, or go to the hotel, get a few hours sleep, and wake up again. And it's Groundhog Day. You just got to do it again, Brian. We need you at the front. Here's
And
your rifle.
now-
Here's your bayonet. Go kill.
Homie on homie violence at this point is unavoidable. Where we've
Yeah.
cut to the top 4, and it's Folger, Conan Jennings, myself, and Oscar Ruiz, another player who is stuck in that gauntlet as well. He was in there with me and the other 2. Which, by the way, after this event on StatCheck, Folger is still the #1 ranked player in the world. Conan is the #2 ranked player in the world. So that's what we have to deal with. And one of them's already beat me once, and I really did not want to pair into that Yanari list again. I also didn't want to pair into that Death Guard list, and I also did not want to pair into Conan. It was just not going to be a good time.
Yeah.
So I ended up pairing into Conan on terrain layout one, Purge the Foe, which is not fantastic for world leaders. You remember how I said we
Yeah.
deal with big tanks by going 1-2 punch, one
Yep.
two punch? Well, 1-2 punch does not work on Purge the Foe because that usually means you're losing two things to their every one thing.
Yeah.
And I fortunately got to go second in Purge the Foe, which is big because that means I get
Yeah.
bottom of turn scoring. So I look at Conan and I'm like, I'm real sorry for how this game's gonna go because I'm gonna play like the biggest coward you've ever seen, right? I'm only gonna do the bare minimum to keep the primary score even. So on the last turn, I can have one big push, go score a bunch of points that he can't interact with, and win the game. The unfortunate thing is he went 10, 10, 10 on his secondaries turn 1, 2, and 3, and I
Uh.
went like 2, 5, and 6. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I have to make something happen or I will just lose this game. I go for a big push. It actually has really good payoff. Khorne and 10 go out there. Khorne almost one taps a ballistas by himself. The 10 Berzerkers rip the other one down through an Armor of Contempt. Um, Slaughter bounce piling, and everything's going according to plan. We're at least keeping the game even. I'm not saying that I'm winning the game by any means, but I'm at least clawing it back to an even score,
Yeah.
so I have that bottom of turn advantage. He goes for a risky play. He rolls an advance on a Ballistas Dreadnought. It walks straight into the middle of my army. Two last cannon shots, one shot of Forge Fiend, which is not math. That just doesn't happen. He
Right.
just rolled the damage on the dice. The Forge Fiend explodes and does 11 mortal wounds to only 8 bound in my Demon Prince,
Oh.
which exacerbates that problem I was saying
Yeah.
earlier. Two 8 bound, three 8 bound can kill a Dreadnought. Two
Right.
8 bound don't. So that means I have to send two 8 bound and something else to go deal with the problem. So the problem gets worse, and now there's this Dreadnought sitting in front of me. And I go to kill it. And it was conveniently in my staging point of the map. It blows up. I take a total of 22 mortal wounds from this entire interaction between that Ballistas Dreadnought coming out
Oh
shooting the Forge
God.
Fiend and then it blowing up. I lost 500 points to these successive explosions. Final score of the game was 98-72. I was actually keeping it reasonably close up to that point. It's just when I got to that scrappy part at the end of the game where I needed those units to go and do things, they just weren't there
Right.
because a 130 point Dreadnought came out, blew up a 150 point Forge Fiend, and then exploded on 500 points of my army. Not salty, but I'm not mad about losing to the homie.
Yeah.
So this is my second loss of the event, so now I'm 6-2 at this point.
Okay. Now, do you play in a final game?
Yes.
You do. Okay. All right. So, I mean, I've played Conan before. He's obviously local to me. Great guy. They're fun games. But that is how are you feeling after that?
Yeah, so after that, I mean, I'm still excited for my bud, right? Like he traveled with us. I really want him to do well. I'm
Yeah.
at this point rooting for, and I'm still doing the best I've ever done in an event.
Yeah.
Brackets are locked. I'm going to be fighting for third place at this point, which is still going to be a fantastic
Yeah.
finish for me, especially because my only two losses to this point are the two
To
most
1 and 2.
problematic
Yeah.
armies. To 1 and 2, also the two most
Yeah.
problematic armies in the meta. Um, but Folger decimates his opponent, Oscar. So it's down to me and Oscar fighting in the trenches, off to the side in the timeout corner because the
Yeah.
main event's going on up on the stage, where we get the weirdly second time happening in a row,
Yeah.
Conan versus Folger off, which I have a feeling is going to be a reoccurring thing with
Yeah.
every
Because that
major they
was
go to.
WCW. I mean, it's just about every local event here.
And
Like,
then Adepticon finals is them too. It,
okay. Oh, maybe that's
and
what I'm thinking of then. But either
yeah.
way, yeah. Yeah.
And so they got that finals going on. I was like, all right, Oscar, let's have a nice chill game over here in this corner. So it's again Vectorum, Death Guard, which I think we still have a positive matchup into. You just have to play it very carefully. Oscar was a good opponent. We had taken hold. So nice fair Warhammer way to end the game,
Yeah.
or end the day, or end the tournament. And on terrain layout one. Now, I did the exact same thing that Conan did to me back to Oscar, where it was all of the objectives are out in the open on that layout. It's hammer anvil. Literally, none of them you can hide on. The Forge Fiends absolutely feasted because all of those objectives are within 18 inches of my deployment zone where I can stage the Forge Fiends safely.
Yeah.
So turn one, the Spawn and Goremongers run out and clear all of the chaff. All the Poxwalkers are gone. All of the scoring's gone. So the only way he can hold primary is by committing really big units You're talking that Demon Prince has to walk out, Death Shroud Terminators have to walk out, stand on objectives, Blight Drones have to come out, stand on objectives, Forge Fiends get to come out and initiate. And Death Guard does not like being initiated on first, right? There's stuff, like Jamie and I were complaining, is cheap, but it's still fairly elite, right? It
Right.
is too cheap, but it is still way more expensive than normal Marine stuff,
Yeah.
right?
For
There's
the
still 40,
bodies you
50
get and
points per
stuff.
model.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then like the Death Shroud Terminator brick is like 140 points plus the character, which is 100 points plus the enhancement, which is like 20 points. Like it adds up. And one 8-bound brick can make contact with that with sustained hits, dev wounds, and lift that whole brick.
Hmm.
So I really weaponized the fact that I had more damaging units. I ingressed well. Khorne and 10 got into a bunch of drones and ripped them to pieces. Got into some Terminators, ripped them to pieces. The game eventually just came down to I was faster than him, I was more mobile than him, and for the first time in my life, I had a moment where he ingressed some Death Shot Terminators down to be able to respond to one flank of the table. I had 8 pound behind a ruin, within range of them to charge. Uh, they were under 12 inches away, but over an 11-inch charge. So it's still possible on the dice to get there. You just literally have to roll the boxcars. And I rip the boxcar roll. Just pull it right out of nowhere. And the 8-bound will rip across the table with sustained hits dev wounds up and decimate his rapid ingress. Um, Similar to the Karn situation, I still achieved my plan. I still wanted him isolated on that side of the table.
Yeah.
From the previous game I discussed, I was still running rampant up the other side. I had isolated his army. It was taking hold. It helped that I was able to outmaneuver him. I was scoring 10, 15 points every turn. He was only scoring 5. I had the primary lead. Still all going according to plan, but that was kind of salt in the wound. And that definitely was a nail in the coffin. Um, I just kept a nice primary lead over him, and that was the game. Final score was 86 to 69. Um, Very hard fought game still. It was still very back and forth, very technical. That Plague Marine brick hurts. That 10-man Plague Marine brick, when
Hmm.
it activates, it kills like 4 things.
Yeah.
And
It's
one C
yeah.
And Death Guard has access to 1 CP full reroll hit and wound, which is just like, why? Just make it one of those things. Why did it have to be both?
Ah,
Um,
GW gonna GW. But
yeah,
okay.
so
All right. So you've played your 9 games total, or
9 games
nine
total,
games total?
finishing 7 and 2.
Yep, 7 and 2, and ended up third overall.
Yep.
Obviously, top worldy. First place and second place, as you said, was Folger and Conan. You know, two other another couple of really great players.
Which
Um,
it it was funny enough, like we all traveled together,
yeah,
and our car was first, second, and third place for the podium, and our only losses were to the other people in the car.
that's
We're just to each other.
that's pretty toxic, quite frankly. I think we need some judges to look into this. This is
Accuse me.
yeah,
It only makes me stronger. But if that's just anything about the meta that Jamie and myself kind of just live in, that is just our life constantly, is people like that running around and just stealing the podiums at tournaments. I tried to get out of the Midwest to win an event, and the Midwest followed me. Um,
you went back home, but you couldn't escape.
right.
So overall, good time, right? You had a good time.
Absolutely banger time. Like, I mean, Dallas is my hometown. I got to go visit friends, basically almost family down there to me.
Yeah,
Food was great. I mean, nothing's better than good Tex-Mex and a good margarita. Um, that and getting to hang out with all of my Warhammer buddies. It was a good time. I got to see a bunch of familiar faces. GW really did a good job with this event. I like giving GW props when I can, and they did a fantastic job. The event was very well run. The terrain was really good. It was relatively punctual, as punctual as you can make a super major.
yeah.
TOs did a great job. Like I said, drama free. I had a blast, and I was more hyped than ever to actually. And I believe I got a golden ticket out of this event. I'm still waiting for email confirmation
Yeah,
because this was Conan's third or fourth, and Folger's third.
yeah.
So
You should be secure in that, I would have thought.
they're just doing some confirmation stuff in the
Yeah.
background. Maybe it gets past me, maybe it doesn't. We'll see. But I mean, third at a super major and it was, other than WCW, my first super major I've ever attended. So
Oh, okay. That's
I was really
interesting.
ecstatic. Like, yeah, because WCW is a super major, but it's like not really. It's very artificial.
Wait, you went to the LVO, didn't you?
Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. I totally did LVO.
Yeah.
I just blocked that out from my brain because Shadow Rounds ruined me.
Right. Right.
Um, my curse is broken. We're out of the Shadow Round curse, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, well done. First of all, I mean that's a great accomplishment. It's always good to follow along when I'll watch on BCP when you're at these events and just kind of come on, man, you can do it, you can do it. And then I saw you paired. I remember you pairing Folger, and then later on Khorne, and I was like, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be you because I mean, like I said, we was talking before. I haven't played 40k in a good while now, just things going on. But when I would play into either of those fellas at an RTT round here or a GT or whatever, as look, let's just make it quick so I can go to break quicker. But let's have some fun first. My expectations are realistic. Like I know what's going to happen, but I want to say I've done the game. But like it's, I feel like, and I don't know, I don't want to speak for you. I mean, both those fellas and the multitude of the top tier, the top echelon of 40k players will typically rotate around 2 or 3 different armies. I mean, I know Folger likes Zeldar, Drakari, and Custodes. Conan typically stays with Marines, whether it's like Dark Angels or like whatever. But I know he's got other armies. I just can't remember what he's played. But like, you just have to wait. This is my feeling until our book, our codex, the World Eaters Codex, is actually on par. Like, it doesn't have to be broken or anything, but just in the same power band as those other books, right? Are those players beatable? Let's put it like that for you personally.
I mean, I think anybody's beatable. Nobody should be considered ever
Right? Yeah.
unbeatable. I think that
Okay.
can lead to an unhealthy little bit like problem. But yes, I do think. I mean, World Eaters on release, like it's no secret that we think a little bit of their points are overcosted, right?
Yeah.
Exalted 8-bound being 160 points. Same thing with 8-bound. Berserkers could come down a tad. Demon Prince can come down a tad. But you know what? That's fine because our rules are very strong.
Yeah.
I actually do feel like our rules are
We can
when
be fixed with
applied correctly.
points.
Correct. We
Yeah.
can be fixed with points. And the 2 lists that I played against was Gladius Marines. Like, I think Conan spent 7 CP in 1 turn and had 2 CP left. Um, Folger, I mean, Yanari is incredibly problem. Like like the list of things I told you you're not allowed to do,
Yeah.
or you do just instantly lose the game. Being able to navigate that right now, and both of those armies are screaming for data slate changes.
Yeah.
I think if World Eaters get a little bit of help, and the 2 most problematic armies in the game get brought down, yeah, I would say I have a game
Yeah.
into both of those players. They are not unbeatable by any means. In fact, I'm actually positive into Conan. Folger, I still got to break that curse. But I think that World Eaters are going to age like wine. Our rules are very strong. Our data sheets are very strong. There are some that are a little disappointing. Like eventually Angron will get figured out by GW. Even talking to GW a little bit there, it's not even they're not trying to make data sheets just unplayably bad. It is in their interest to have every data sheet be playable because they
Right.
just
Yeah.
want everybody playing with all their models. It'll eventually happen.
Yeah.
So yep, I am excited because I think where we're positioned right now, going into like WCW later on in this year, assuming I go, I think we'll actually have 1 or 2 chances to get a little bit of love, and then give me another opportunity to go into players of that echelon and caliber
Mm-hmm.
and really be able to do something. I mean, I was playing into multiple WTC players, multiple other really good players, and what people would say are bad matchups for us, and doing fine. Like I think World Eaters will do fine, and I did do fine. I did more than fine, and
Right.
I do
Right.
think that we'll as a community will definitely improve there.
I think something that's quite important to point out because I just completely started ignoring you there. As you stealth corrected me, I said echelon and you said echelon. So can someone in the comments do some research and find out which one of us was correct there? Whether it's a British versus American thing. That's now the most important content in this video. The rest of it doesn't matter. Who pronounced that correctly is what matters to me. I'm actually going to research that as soon as we're done recording here, Brian.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Is there any final thoughts? Anything you want to close us out on?
I just wanted to say thank you for the community. Like there were a lot of you people there talking to me, hyping me up. I was hyping you guys up. I was definitely saying like some of you guys were like Conan was destroying a lot of world leaders there. He actually played someone who was playing my identical list right before he played me. So Conan was getting practice. I'm sorry, bud. Your Karn rolls kind of sucked that game. Also, I want to say I hate my Karn. He failed to stand up 4 of the 6 times he died.
Ooh.
Um, but thank you for everybody that came up to say hi. The Discord, also same thing. Um, I'm going to be talking. I have another super major coming up in a week and a half. This one's a little bit more local. So if you want to see some of my list ramblings, check us out on the Discord, on the patron chat. I'll be spamming a bunch of my lists that I'm considering taking. Probably going to end up taking the same list. It felt like it worked really well.
Okay.
Um, but
If people want to ask questions about that, what is the list called?
It is called, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a running joke at this point, because we had the RB2K, just to kind of ribbit Ryan. He did not name his own list. We named that for him.
Yeah.
But to go in that theme, because this one's exactly 2K, I'm calling it the BD2K, just to really just rib at him even just a little bit
But
more.
we need to improve it. I won't
No.
spoil it here, but I need to just figure out one tweak to make to that list, just a little 0.5% buff, and once I figure it out, and there's a reason to this,
And
but
you will see that reason
yeah,
in my list name
but
for the
I
next
but
Super Major I
yeah,
attend.
but I've got to figure it out first. All right, well, thank you very much, Brian. Congratulations on your placings. Good job. Many skulls were claimed. So, with that, folks, we'll see you in the next one. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill Mainbot.